Welcome to episode 24 of Chats. Today we're talking about the things we've learned during quarantine. I'm Corbin.
I'm Sarah.
And you had the idea for today's topic. You usually come up with the ideas for the topics, but today especially you thought of this one.
Well, yeah, because I've noticed it's been about a month for me working from home. Mm-hmm. So I've noticed some things evolving since we've been self-isolating. And actually, technically, it's not quarantine because none of us are sick, knock on wood.
Yes.
We are self-isolating or, what do they call it? Sheltering in place.
Lockdown.
That's how it feels to Corbin and his brother. It's lockdown.
That's why I just say that instead of self-isolating and stuff like that.
Yeah.
More intense. It's like a movie.
There you go. Well, so my thought was, I think there's some stuff that I've taken note of in the past 4 weeks, and maybe there are other people, and maybe you have taken note of things in the past 4 weeks. So do you have a couple things that you wanted to start off with?
I wrote it down.
He wrote it down. Excellent.
My memory is shot. Already.
That's actually something I talk about in my list.
Yeah?
Yes.
Well, the first thing I have down is taking things day to day and focusing on the now. Because
being present. Yeah.
Yes, because, everyone was going 100 miles an hour during their regular lives.
Yeah.
Go, go, go. And now I'm not thinking about what I have to do, next week or even a couple days into the future. I'm just thinking about, I wake up, what I have to do today. Sometimes maybe like you've recommended, make a list of stuff, or
it makes you feel accomplished at the end of the day if you make a list.
Yeah. And it's nice to have this break. Obviously too long it wouldn't be great, but for right now this is a nice, I think much needed refresher for a lot of people, just to sit back and say, life isn't always 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
You need to, maybe take time for yourself, or take time with someone else in your life that maybe you're at home with. So there's a lot of things that you could branch that off to, but just living in the moment for sure is one thing, because if not, you're going to start thinking about, you're going to get anxious about coronavirus and stuff like that, where you're going to start thinking about
getting sick or...
and just not thinking about the future instead of today. You'll think, well, how long is this going to happen? Instead of enjoying the day or trying to make the best out of the day right in that moment. So.
And that's a very good management tool for mental health.
Yes. Grounding
yourself, being present, not don't worry about what's happening tomorrow or the next day. Just focus on what's right in front of you. So that's, that's good. That's good tip.
The second one is kind of a cheat because it goes back to what we talked about a couple episodes ago, which is being grateful for what we have. We've talked about this on the 22nd podcast about being grateful. Just thinking about during all this is like, usually I don't use the yard as much as I usually would, or
like outside the house, the backyard,
or even use a lot of the stuff inside the house or different rooms in the house. And now I'm taking advantage of all of that because I can, right?
Yeah.
And during these times. So just being grateful for stuff like that, and being grateful that, knock on wood again, that we're all healthy, we're all safe, because there's a lot of other people right now who are going through tough times. Mm-hmm. And, a couple of my friends will message me or something along those lines and say, this is crap, this is annoying. It's
They're frustrated.
Yeah, rightfully so. But also, I tell them, just be grateful. Think about all the things you're grateful for right now. No one's sick and all that. So it's one of those things where you have to really step back and look at the bigger picture almost. It's the opposite of the first one, where you're narrowing your view for the day, not the week or the month.
Overwhelming yourself, yeah.
Now you're kind of, instead of, thinking, well, this is crappy, I'm stuck at home, maximize it to, I have a home, so stuff like that.
Or even just forcing yourself to think of a couple of things that are good, because again, there's a lot of negativity. So for one thing that's bad, try to think of two things that are good, just to help balance or even keel yourself a bit.
For sure. And then the last one I have here is kind of like the second one. I don't know. It's finding joy in the little things. All of my things are kind of very much taking what you have and making it
the best
that you can.
Right.
Because if you told me 2 months ago Corbin, we're gonna make a puzzle, I would say,
I
what?
wondered if you were gonna.
I was gonna say, what the hell are we gonna? We're gonna kill each other. We're gonna just freak out. We're gonna throw the puzzle out.
Or because we're so busy,
so
the last thing you want to do is sit down and be quiet and calm and work on a puzzle.
And most weeks when we're trying to plan a podcast, we record on Sundays.
Yeah.
We would be like, all right, we can only record at like 3 p.m. till like 3:45.
Yeah,
now
that's
it's
the window.
Now it's, so when do you want to record the podcast today? Because my schedule's open. So it's just little things like that.
We could do it Monday night. We could do it Sunday morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's enjoying the little things. You're like, I don't know if you're gonna bring this up, but like, you right now have a little mini garden, like you're planting seeds and stuff like that. You know, arguably, would that have happened if this was all going on? Would you be able to take the time out of your day and really enjoy that? You know,
I know I wanted to do it the last couple of years, but as far as being caught up with all the other stuff that piles up on me at home during the week, I don't know. I know it hasn't happened the last couple of years, and I've wanted to do it anyway. So my answer would probably be not likely.
Yeah.
Would it happen this year either, were it not for this break.
Yeah. So there's a lot of little things just to find joy in, and that's a big thing during these times, is finding joy, because it's very easy. You know, there's like a quote I heard where it's easier to hate than it is to love.
Yes.
And that's something that I've taken a lot recently, where it's like, you do put a lot of energy, like you have the same amount of energy you could put into love, but you put into hate because it's easier.
Yeah.
It's easier to fall into that. So try and, you know, take the harder path. Find stuff that you love.
Challenge yourself to
Exactly.
find the good. I like that. So these are things that you have learned in the past month.
I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I like that. That's good.
And they've really amplified in the last month.
Oh, okay.
Because, you know, some
you
of
already
these,
were kind of tweaked into them.
yeah, some of these things, you know, I've had a long, as everyone knows in the podcast, I've had a long time to think about stuff. I've been home since late September of last year.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had lots of time to do self-reflection, you know, some of these deeper thoughts, using finger quotes. But this month has really solidified it, because, you know, I can have people like, I couldn't, not that I couldn't, but there are things that I do with you guys that amplify that, rather than me just staying home all day on my own like it was. With everyone here, it's really amplified that. So
that's good.
I think I would agree with you, where it's been, I've learned a little bit in the last month, and it's amplified in the last month.
Good.
Yeah. And it's crazy to think that we've been self-isolating for a month, because in some ways, some days, as we've said, it's either, oh my God, it's, you know, taking like forever for this day to end, and not in a bad way, just saying like, it just seems longer.
Yeah.
And some days it's like, oh, I'm not supposed to be working right now. Like it's closing time an hour ago.
Yeah.
So it's crazy to think that we've been here for a month, because it does not seem like time exists at all.
It's a vacuum.
It is, especially with the time changing during the
everything's
the days.
been weird.
Oh yeah.
You know, we've had the time change. We've had, you know, we talked about longer days and you know, which is a good and a bad thing. But then, you know, we're in Ontario, so we've had snow regularly, and like again, right now it is the 19th of April.
Yeah.
And even though April and November to me are like partnering months,
Yeah.
you never know what you're gonna get.
No.
You could get a nice day. For the most part, you're gonna end up with gray, cloudy, windy, kind of crappy days. So when you get a nice day, for me, why I like April better than November is we have flowers.
Well, and you can also, you're looking towards the summer.
Yes, yeah. It's the weather is hopefully getting better. So.
I like it the other way. I like the winter.
I know you
Love
do.
the winter. So you have some more. You have more points than I do.
Well, I have different points, and if, you know, and we can, if you think of stuff, maybe this might trigger stuff for you too. I know that's happened before.
It'll probably end up me being like, oh, that's a good idea. I should have thought of that.
That's okay. So for me, I've got like 5 of them, but you know, like I say, some of them could be kind of overlapping here. My first thing that I've learned about myself since being home is that I was way more tired than I realized.
Yeah.
And it ties into what you said about being busy. And I think you kind of get into this pattern of just full open, like running all the time, whether it's mentally, physically, scheduling, you're just go, 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 go. And you don't breathe in between these things. And you get so used to not breathing that, you either hit a wall or something like this has happened where I'm like, oh my gosh, I can get some things done because I don't have my commute time. I can get an extra, half hour, 45 minutes of sleep, which for me is huge. I'm very much a sleep person.
Yeah.
But I mean, not just physical rest, but just the idea of mentally. With the kind of work that I do, the public part, my outside of work part, has been reduced. Like I can't do any of that, but I can do planning and strategizing and social media and all that stuff. So I'm still very busy, and there's meetings and things that are going on, but it's certainly not. It actually feels like it's still a full-time job. This is the irony, and I guess that goes to my whole point is, even though there's a chunk of my job that's been pulled away, it's still a full-time job. And I'm not doing all of it, which that should tell me something right there.
Yeah.
But,
well, and that's also, it's interesting because it's a different environment for you, where sometimes your work environment can be very draining.
Yeah.
And not saying that you aren't being, you aren't giving it your all here, but it's almost like you can counterbalance some of that draining stuff
with
that you do
downtime.
with work.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a good point.
I also feel that I'm more organized. Like I've gone through some drawers and I've, sorted some clothes and I'm a Virgo. So for me, order is king or queen in this case. And I feel better when things are put away or, sorted, toss what you don't need, keep
Organized.
what you want. Yeah. Just go through that process. So that's made me feel a little better. And I need to allow myself to do that more often, is to give myself that peace of mind so I don't get as tired and stressed by walking into my closet and I can't find anything, right? And part and parcel of that is the fact that I'm actually an introvert. And people who listen to this that know me are going to say, well, that's a bunch of bullshit, Sarah. There's no way you're an introvert. Yes, I am. And I didn't fully believe that I was, but I read an authoritative book by Dr. Amy Schumer. That's a joke. She's not a doctor. She's a comedian. And she described her personality, and I thought, I am just like that. She said that she is an introvert, that she gets energy at certain points, but that she is also drained by that same interaction, and that she feels better being by herself to recharge. Extroverts are the type of people that get energy from other people.
Yes.
An introvert does not. They need to recharge by themselves or with less people. That's not to say that you have to be by yourself all the time.
I agree with that because I think I fall into the middle, which is called the ambivert. And,
okay.
And I've researched this before, and practically it says you need to get to the other people to you're an introvert until you get to the other people, then you explode. You're like the top end of the extrovert.
Right.
And sometimes
you have like a real range in there. Okay.
Which I do. I have a real range in general, but
happy or really pissed off.
Yeah. So I find that interesting that you brought that up because
ambivert.
I've done some research into it because I felt that way where sometimes people would say 100% extrovert, like outgoing, all that. But sometimes I don't want to go out. Like people would say, let's go out, go out. And I'm like,
no, thank you.
No. And like people would come to my house and like, we're going to the beach. And I'd literally just stay inside and I'd be like freaking out. I'm like, I'm not going. But if I were to go,
you're into it.
Extrovert. Yeah. So it's weird.
But that's where for me, exactly that is, I think there are times where I force myself because it's like, whether it's a social or a work related or just an expectation that you have to be a certain persona. But no, I'm not. I'm not an extrovert.
No.
I like my downtime. I like quiet time.
Yes.
I've actually struggled with trying to read, which is going to sound ridiculous because I've read all of my life and enjoyed reading.
Yeah.
But I'm so used to reading small amounts, whether it's on social media or websites or recipes or just, you know what I mean? But to sit down with a book and actually read for an hour, I really struggle with that because I've been so used to run that I'm trying to actually train myself to relax enough to read a book. And a number of my friends who are voracious readers would say, have you read this book? Have you read that book? Or I just read the greatest book. You should read it. And I would shut it down because it's like, I'll read a magazine because, again, it's short. I would get frustrated with books because I didn't have the time to dedicate to it. And then I'd go back to the book in 6 months and go, I don't even remember where I am here. You know, I got to go back and start again. So yeah, the reading is a big thing. And the other thing that I used to do on a regular basis was I would journal. And that, not like a diary, but just kind of, I feel like this today, or here's some thoughts, or here's a paragraph that I think would be really good, or dialogue.
To remember.
Just little
creative
idea.
blocks.
Exactly. Yeah. More just a thought book. Right. And I flipped it open. I finally had some time the other day, and I thought, I'm gonna write something, like hand write, which is another thing. My handwriting has gotten better because I have the time to actually hand write.
Interesting.
But to sit there and I flipped open my little thought book, and the last time I wrote in it was in 2018.
Wow. 2 years.
We were just starting the edition.
Yeah.
When I started this book, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is
Time flies.
insane. So to be able to kind of have that change of going back to the things I enjoy doing, slowing things down, retraining myself that, you know, I can read longer, I can write longer. And yeah, so that's kind of going into the whole, I was way more tired than I realized. That's the heading of that point.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I used to wake up the first 2 weeks we were home, I would wake up every single day absolutely knackered. Like just wake up in the morning feeling like I did not sleep.
No.
Like I could just keep sleeping. And I was actually already getting an extra hour and a half of sleep every day. Right?
I felt that way for the first bit as well, but I've gotten better.
Thing, then.
I think it's something when the universe was happening.
Do you think so?
Maybe.
Too much energy going around?
Maybe. But when you bring up the reading thing, I want to say to you, I think your solution to that is getting like a audiobook subscription or something like that, because you like to listen to stuff while you work.
Oh, I love podcasts, yeah.
And I think that's the best of both worlds, because you got some great narrators and all that.
Oh, absolutely. But I do think there's something to like holding a book
and sitting down
and devoting time and space in your day to that.
Yeah.
So that's just the first point.
As my grandma would like to say, she likes the feel of a book.
The feel of a book. That's right. The smell and feel of a book.
Yeah.
My next point is, I knew I never loved grocery shopping, but now I really hate grocery shopping. It was always something for me that it's like, you know, some people, and your dad would always tease me as I'm going, oh, have fun grocery shopping. It's like, there's nothing fun.
It's a need, not a want.
Yeah. And it's not a fun acquisition experience.
No.
It's like, oh, I forgot something. Well, now I can't make that recipe, and that screws up this latter half of the week because now I don't know what I'm going to make on Thursday night. And you know what I mean? Like, there's the whole strategy behind it. But, and again, I had a couple of experiences that really turned me off as well. That it was just like, oh my goodness, I could do with less of this. But the online shopping has saved me.
Yeah.
There have been a couple of times where I have had to go into a grocery store, and I touch on this a little later, but I get so frustrated and to the point of stress now, because it's not just an annoyance. It's like the decisions that other people are making could impact me, which I could then take back home to my family. Now I'm pissed at you. Yeah. You are being an ass. So we probably should, there's swearing again. We brought that back for you. But some people are being really dumb right now and just not thinking of anyone but themselves. And I know we're trying to be kind and give people, you know, hey, I'm not trying to judge you. I'm trying to understand that you're as stressed as I am. But some people are just being selfish right now, and they just need to get their heads out of their butts. So I won't dwell too much on that because I kind of jumped down with that later on. But I think we all learned in kindergarten how to follow an arrow on the floor. And if your grocery store has installed arrows like mine has, and you're not following those arrows, I'd love the opportunity to breach our social distancing and ram you with my grocery cart. But anyway, my third point is I've learned that when people said things couldn't be done, they meant they just didn't want to try. Mm-hmm. And what that specifically speaks to is things like adjustments in our life for the environment, adjustments to allow people to work from home, and support and funding and services from our governments for certain things. Because it just goes to show that if I had said to you 6 months ago that there is money available to support a $1 billion bailout program in Canada, you would have said, oh my God, like that's crazy.
Or in some cases, some people are pulling out trillions of dollars for stuff, and it's like, where did that come from?
Are we in the T's now?
Yeah.
Trillion with a TR? Yes. And we've talked about that as a family with your dad and I saying to you and your brother, pay attention to this, because the decisions that are being made and some of the plans that are being implemented right now, we're not going to be able to pay for, right? This is when you start talking trillions, that's not my lifetime, and it may not be yours either.
No.
So be aware of the decisions that are being made, because whether or not you're able to have or do things, or things will be developed in the future, could be determined right now because of how the funding, the taxation and the strategies that are put in place, the legislations. So it's very interesting, because I do think it's one of those things where they say, oh yeah, we can't do that, or we're not interested in that, or who would ever. Well, when you have a frickin' global pandemic, you will find a way to make it happen.
Oh yeah.
And my favorite meme, we should almost have that meme of the week.
Meme of the week.
Which is when the meme that says, there's absolutely no way for us to implement in a timely manner environmental changes that will make a lasting or impactful change. Impact, yeah. And then the next part is Mother Nature says, hold my beer.
Yeah.
It's true. And this has been something that's been discussed a lot, is that...
And we talked about on podcasts about the changes after COVID-19 and such like that.
Or even back with the environmental podcast that we did. It was the episode that we did, which is, if you stop thinking from the perspective of, I don't know if we can, it suddenly turns into, we're moving towards that solution. Like, don't worry about the can't, find out what the can is.
Yeah. So
I found that interesting.
Or even find out the will. Because can, it has the possibility of yes or no. Will is, I will do that, which is
the commitment.
Yes.
Yeah. My next one, which ties up to my earlier point, is I have learned that people can be really dumb.
Yes.
And I know that's...
Hopefully you're not talking about me.
No, but a generalization for some people is like, well, people have always been dumb. Well, there's dumb like you turn and you didn't signal.
Yeah.
You didn't signal your turn. That's dumb. But I'm talking about things like, like, again, the grocery store. When there's literally announcements at the grocery store where they're saying, please respect social distancing, please follow the arrows on the floor. And you've got people that are literally skipping aisles and closer to me than you are right now.
And we're in
a walk-in closet.
We're in a walk-in closet, which isn't too much walking space.
No, it's more of a stand and wiggle around kind of closet.
Side step.
Yeah. So that to me is like, that's dumb. Yeah. You're just being an idiot.
It's on a more consistent basis now as well, you find.
Well, and I don't know whether it's because it's like a survivalist thing in their heads that, I just got to do this, and every man for themselves.
It's a faulty one, because most of those people would not survive in a survival type scenario.
Know. Then the next subcategory here is, I'm just going to say the word, and you'll know what I mean.
Okay.
Florida.
Yeah. Well, because just recently in the news,
Friday,
they've reopened all beaches, I believe.
Yeah.
And literally, I think they said an hour or two after that ban was lifted, the beaches were full again.
Yeah.
So
people were waiting to get on the beaches. People were lined up, and as soon as, I think it was like 5 p.m. and as soon as 5 p.m. came, people were like,
we're there.
But apparently the caveats for using the beaches is that you couldn't sunbathe.
What difference will that make? Who knows?
And who's going to enforce that?
Yeah.
You're walking too slow here, sir. I think you're actually like sunbathing.
Where's the Jaws shark when you need it?
That's my next favorite meme. Was the last time they said the beaches were safe, and it's a clip. I'm gonna show it to you.
I didn't see that. So
it's
that's
a clip
funny.
from Jaws. I'm gonna send it to you. It's hilarious.
Where people are telling
the
mayor, they're telling the mayor, close the frickin' beach, and the mayor's like, he's like, this is the best weather we've had all year. We're not gonna close it down. Jeez.
Logic at its finest. So yes, so people can be dumb. The final sub point for that one is, I didn't realize. And I say dumb because, not all people who are conspiracy theorists are dumb.
No.
But we have to say that there are some dumb conspiracy theories.
Or even ridiculous.
Yes. So I'm kind of astounded with the number of people and some of the narratives that they're putting out there as far as, different scenarios or why this is happening or what's going to happen to us, or we're allowing ourselves to be, the government that's going to turn into Big Brother and a police state and things like that. And it's like, I don't know. I see a whole bunch of medical people who look absolutely frickin' terrified right now. And I see body bags in New York City.
Yeah.
And I sit there and I think, you know what? That's a lot of coordination.
And
We're not talking about landing on the moon here. No. We're talking about a lot of production value.
It's also disrespectful to the people who are going through all this right now, who are putting their lives on the line.
Yes.
You know, they're trying to protect the people that are telling them that it's not real. It's like, I wouldn't say that right now. You know?
Well, and I know over this weekend that we're in currently, there's been a lot of talk in the state of Michigan, a lot of protests and things like that, and other states as well, but the one that's sticking out to me right now is Michigan. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in about 2 weeks and what happens to the numbers in the state of Michigan, because I'm pretty sure all these people that are complaining and protesting are going to have some issues.
Yeah.
Yeah. The final one is... And I think a lot of people have kind of weighed this out. At the beginning, when there was a talk of, you know, we're all going to be stuck at home and, you know, people were either unemployed or underemployed or working from home, but you had time at home, that you should accomplish something. Use this time for good. And all these examples on social media about, you know, this person discovered this during the Spanish flu, and this person, you know, wrote this piece of music and wrote this fabulous piece of literature. I've learned that I don't have to feel like I need to accomplish something right now.
No.
When I say accomplish, I mean have something like a product or an endeavor that I would not have been able to do were it not for this.
Yeah.
Because right now, I'm working full time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm supporting my family. So, you know, whether you or your dad or your brother, like maintaining my role as the wife and mother in the family. Offering physical, emotional, financial support within the family. Mm-hmm. I also run for my mom if there's anything she needs, and there's some other members of the family that we've put the offer out to, that if they need anything, that we're there for them.
And we're constantly checking in.
Exactly, and that takes a lot of time and energy at times as well. And of course there's the regular things like laundry and food and like I say, grocery shopping takes 5 times as long as it used to take.
Yeah.
So as far as, you know, having time to write an opus, it's not going to happen. No. So I've kind of backed off myself. At the beginning, it was kind of like, oh, well, I should learn a skill, or I will do this. And you know, I'm thinking about, you know, and it's not to say that I won't do it. We'll see what happens the next couple of weeks. But I've taken that pressure off, that expectation that, you know, really, when am I ever going to have this kind of time again? It's like, but there's also a whole bunch of stressors and responsibilities that I now have that I wouldn't have had if I were still working.
Yeah, 100%. So,
yeah.
It's a lot of stress to put on oneself.
Yeah. I think if you're inspired...
Yeah.
I think that's great, but I don't
have the time. I
don't think anybody should sit there and say, oh, you know what? If I don't come up with something truly outstanding, then, you know, this has been a waste of time. Mm-hmm. I think if you're taking care of your mental health and, you know, making sure you're not eating too much, because that's an easy thing to do. You're keeping physical. You're trying to connect with people. Just do what's best for you. Mm-hmm. And you can come out of this the other side and be in one piece. You've accomplished something.
Even better.
Yeah.
So
that's it for my list.
That's a solid list, I think.
Yeah.
But we need something to finish this episode off, and we have a high note.
Do you? Because I was going to suggest one, but if you've got one, I'll save mine.
I think it's the same one. So, recording this Sunday. So, last night, Saturday, they had the Global Citizen put on the One World Together at Home concert, which we watched last night in its entirety. And I think it's a great high note type thing.
Yeah.
But, so...
If you have a chance to watch it, we recorded it as well, because not everyone in the house could sit down at that time to watch it.
And you can watch it more places than you can listen to our podcast. You got
No.
I know. You can find it on YouTube, any of the social medias. They had it live
Netflix,
streaming.
Yeah.
Netflix had it.
Yeah.
A bunch of cable companies had it streaming on many channels. It was fantastic, and not only was it a funny event, it was funny, it was heartwarming, educational, and entertaining.
Yes.
There was an arm's length list of talented artists that were there performing for us, you know.
In the first 10 minutes, you had Lady Gaga, Paul McCartney,
Elton John.
And Stevie Wonder, and then followed up by like Elton John, Keith Urban, the Rolling Stones. Like I'm missing over half of them. Oh, J-Lo did an amazing job.
It was incredible. It was, and like even like the hosts, which we don't usually listen or watch the late night shows. Yeah. They did a great job, and it's nice to see them come together because they're going against each other all the time. So for them to come,
Jimmy Kimmel,
Jimmy Fallon, and Stephen Colbert,
and they were good. They all worked. They played off each other well,
and they did a great job of making it feel like a live event almost through them doing the online approach because they're all not in the same room, but the direction was so well done. Whenever one Jimmy said something on the one end, the other two would turn their heads and look towards them.
They had the production value was very well done considering the restrictions they had.
Very well done. And all the performers, I love it when performers do twists on their songs so it's not the same, or they do a cover of a song, and all of the artists, they gave us something like interesting that you can say that was this performance at this time,
or giving a song that was so appropriate that it almost took on a whole new meaning because Lady Madonna, Paul McCartney does Lady Madonna, which he says is in memory of his mother who was a nurse and in support of all the healthcare professionals and the frontline people that are putting it out there right now. And it's like, I'm always gonna put that song with this production now. It's always going to feel like it belongs to this program.
Yeah, it was really well done, and I think it was 2 hours long, so it's a good length. It's not, half an hour, that's it. Big corporations and companies were donating money throughout the show and all that.
No commercials either. You were actually sitting there at one point.
I think there was one or two commercials, but they were like really short, and they were all COVID-19 related.
But it was also like an hour in, because I remember you sitting there saying, like, when are we going to have a break? Because I need to run out and grab something.
Grab some snacks and stuff.
Yeah.
So it was really well done, and even if the performers weren't singing or performing, there were still, like, Idris Elba was there, and they all Beyonce was there. A bunch of people were there just to spread awareness for different categories, because there's a lot right now, from homelessness to
the black community
to people who are struggling with mental health. Everyone had something to discuss and talk about.
Very well done.
It was really well put together. So that is One World. That was Global Citizen.
One World at Home.
One Home or One World Together at Home concert.
Okay.
If you type that in, one of those options, you'll probably find
it's gonna pop up.
Yeah. So that is the high note for this week. It's a nice little wrap up to the week. So I think that's the end of the podcast for this episode.
Just make sure if you have any thoughts or suggestions, or if you just want to blow off some steam, maybe you're frustrated and dealing with some stuff and you just want to be able to share some thoughts with us, or if you've got some advice for people, or maybe things that you've learned about yourself in the past month, you can go to our email, which is chatspodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you there. Also on our social media platform, which is Facebook or YouTube. You can also connect with us there, and you can recommend to your friends, family, colleagues our podcast on these platforms.
You can listen and follow us at YouTube, which is no account required. Just hop on the link and you can watch it and
subscribe though.
Subscribe, like, share with your friends and family, especially during these times. So it's YouTube, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Those are the main ones that we have. You can follow us there on all of them, and you can listen to our entire catalog from episode 0 to episode 24 and more in the future. Every Tuesday.
Which we try to.
Unless we forget or life gets ahead of us, and then it's every Wednesday.
That's right. That's right. Sometimes slips.
Well, thank you guys so much for listening. It's been me, Corbin.
And Sarah.
And thank you guys for listening, and stay tuned for our latest chats.